नमस्ते, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया। आई एम JV and Dr. Meenakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Today in this session, we will discuss the examination of nose. How we should examination a patient who comes with the complaint of nasal obstruction, nasal discharge, etc. So, first of all, we will discuss the symptomatology. A patient with disease of all the nose and the PNS presents with one or more of the following complaints: nasal obstruction, nasal discharge, postnasal drip, sneezing, epistaxis. So, if a patient comes with the problem of chief complaint of nasal obstruction or discharge, or there is post nasal drip, or if he or she is sneezing, or there is bleeding from the nose, then we should go for the examination of nose. Again, if the patient is having headache or facial pain, or there is any swelling or deformity in the nose, or there is disturbances of smell, or a patient has a habit of snoring, or there is change in voice as per the patient, there is hypernasality or hyponasality. So, a detailed history of these symptoms with special regard to their onset, duration, progression, and severity should be asked. So, under the heading of examination of nose, there are 5 types of examination. First is the examination of external nose. That is, the external part of nose is examined first. Then the examination of vestibule. The vestibule is the antero-inferior portion of the nose which contains the hair. This part should be examined. Then anterior rhinoscopy, the examination nose from the anterior side. Then posterior rhinoscopy, examination of the nose from the posterior side. Then the functional examination of nose. The first is the external nose examination. So first we should examine the skin and osteocartilaginous framework of nose both by inspection and palpation. So just like in Ayurveda we do the darshan and sparshan pariksha, here we will do the inspection, that is darshan, and the palpation, that is sparshan pariksha. So we should examine the skin and the osteocartilaginous framework of nose. So in the skin examination we should see the signs of inflammation. There is inflammation in case of furuncle or septal abscess. We should see if there is any scar may be due to any operation or any trauma. We should examine the sinus, it may be due to congenital dermoid. Skin should be examined for swelling may be due to dermoid or glioma. And the skin is examined for any neoplasm, any growth, which may be in case of BCC or SCC, basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma. Then in the external examination of nose we should examine the osteocartilaginous framework. We should see any type of deformities there or not. There may be deviated or twisted nose, there may be hump in the external nose, or there may be depressed bridge, or there may be bifid or pointed tip, or there may be the destruction of nose which occurs in case of trauma, syphilis, or cancer. Then comes the palpation. Under the palpation of nose we have to find the raised temperature. After touching the skin we will see is there any raised temperature of the nose, or there is fixity of nose or skin, or there is thickening of soft tissues, or if on there is pain on touch, there is tenderness, or there is fluctuation or crepitation. After examination of the external nose we should go for the examination of vestibule. So it is the anterior skin lined part of nasal cavity having vibrissae. Vibrissae means the hairs, and can be easily examined by tilting the tip of nose upward. So for examination of the anterior inferior part of nose, we should tilt the tip of nose upward so that we can easily examine the vestibule part. So in the vestibule examination, we should look for the furuncle. Is there any abscess formation of the vibrissae, or there is any fissure, maybe due to chronic rhinitis, or if there is any crust or dislocated caudal end of the septum. And we should examine for the tumors like cyst, papilloma, carcinoma. So, and in this picture they have shown how we should examine the vestibule part. First we should tilt the head of the patient, then we should uh, press the tip of the nose, and we should move it upwards. Then there is examination of anterior part of nose by the anterior rhinoscopy. The technique is patient is seated facing the examiner, and a thudicum type of speculum is used to open the vestibule. Usually the speculum is held in the left hand by the right handed person, and it should be fully closed while introducing and partially open when removing from the nose. Because if we will enter it with the open ends, then it may the hairs may get entangled. In that, it is to avoid catching the hair. Then light is focused on different sides in the nose to examine the nasal septum, roof, floor, and lateral wall. For this, patient head may need to be tilted on different directions. We should look for the following points. First is nasal passage. We should see if the nasal passage is narrow. It may be narrow in case of septal deviation or hypertrophy of turbinates, or due to any growth. What are the turbinates? These are the bony projections on the lateral wall of the nose. So the hypertrophy of turbinates may lead to the narrowing of the nasal passage. We should see if the nasal passage is wide. It may be wide in the atrophic rhinitis. This is an instrument called the thudicum speculum. In this image they have shown how to hold this instrument. Then in this image of anti-rhinoscopy, they have shown how we should tilt the head of the patient, then how we should introduce the thudicum nasal speculum into the anterior part of nose. That's how we can examine the nose. Then the second thing we should examine is the septum. We should see if there is any deviation or spur. We should see if there is any ulcer or perforation or swelling may be due to hematoma or abscess. And we should examine for the growth in the septum, like in rhinosporidiosis or hemangioma. Then we should examine for the floor of nose, if there is any defect like cleft palate or fistula in the floor of nose, or there is any swelling on the floor of nose like in dental cyst, or if there is any neoplasm in the floor of nose like hemangioma, or there is any granulations on the floor of nose like in case of foreign body or ostitis. Then we should examine the roof, usually not seen except in case of atrophic rhinitis. So in anti-rhinoscopy you will not be able to see the roof except in a disease which is called the atrophic rhinitis. Then we should examine the lateral wall of nose. On the lateral walls there are the bony shells called the turbinates. We should look at the turbinates and the metacies. Only the inferior and middle turbinate and their corresponding metacies can be visualized. So they have shown that there are three metacies: superior, middle, and inferior turbinates and their respective metacies. But in the examination of nose, that is in the anti-rhinoscopy, only two turbinates and their corresponding metacies can be visualized. These are middle and inferior turbinates. Then we should examine the color of mucosa. If there is inflammation, then there will be congested mucosa, and if there is any allergy, then the mucosa will be pale. Then we should examine the size of turbinates in the lateral wall. There will be enlarged and swollen turbinates in hypertrophic rhinitis, and there will be small and rudimentary turbinates in atrophic rhinitis. Then comes the discharge. The discharge in the middle meters indicates the infection of maxillary, frontal, or anterior ethmoidal sinuses. Then we should examine the mass. If there is in mass in the lateral wall of nose, it may be polyp or rhinosporidiosis or carcinoma. Then a probe test should be done. It ascertains the site of attachment, consistency, mobility, and the sensitivity of the mass. The attachment of the mass is found by passing the probe on all its surfaces. Bleeding during probing indicates the vascular nature of the mass. Then the next point of examination is the posterior rhinoscopy. What is the technique of posterior rhinoscopy? First of all, the patient sits facing the examiner. He or she opens his mouth and breathes silently from the mouth. Then the examiner depresses the tongue with a tongue depressor and introduces the posterior rhinoscopy mirror, which has been warmed and tested on the back of hand. So we should warm it and we should test it on the back of hand. It should not be too much hot, it should be warm, and the reason for doing so is because it will avoid the mist formation on the mirror. The mirror is held like a pen and carried behind the soft palate without touching it on the posterior third of the tongue to avoid the gag reflex. Then the light from the head mirror is focused on the rhinoscopic mirror, which further illuminates the part to be examined. The patient's relaxation is important so that soft palate does not contract. This is a technique of posterior rhinoscopy. In the left hand, the examiner has hold a tongue depressor to depress the tongue so that we can easily enter the posterior rhinoscopy mirror. Okay. So posterior rhinoscopy mirror, the mirror is facing upwards and we should warm it a little, warm the posterior rhinoscopy mirror and test on the back of the hand. Then we should introduce inside the mouth and behind the soft palate to examine the posterior part of nose. Here is an image in which we will see the structure seen on the posterior rhinoscopy. On the left side they have shown how the posterior rhinoscopy is done, and on the right side there is an image of the structures. In this structure you can see in the middle there is nasal septum, and on the posterior side of the nose there is choana, and just after the soft palate it is uvula, and there is superior choana, middle choana, inferior choana, concha, and there is tubal elevation. We should look for the following things in case of posterior rhinoscopy. First we will see the choanal polyp or atresia. Second thing, we will see the hypertrophy of posterior ends of inferior turbinates. Third, the discharge of the middle meters. It is seen in infections of maxillary, frontal, or ethmoidal sinuses. Discharge above the middle turbinate indicates the infection of the posterior ethmoid or the sphenoid sinuses. Then the last part of examination of nose is the functional examination of nose. We should test for the patency of the nose and sense of smell. For the patency of nose, we can do the two tests, the spatula test and the cotton wool test. What is the spatula test? A clean, cold tongue depressor is held below the nostrils to look for the area of mist formation. When patient exhales, the two sides are compared. The next is the cotton wool test. A fluff of cotton is held against each nostril and its movements are noticed when patient inhales or exhales. Here is an image of the spatula test. We should place a tongue depressor like this and when the patient, this should be, tongue depressor should be cold. When the patient exhales, then there will be mist formation on the tongue depressor. So we can examine the mist formation on the two sides of the both nostrils. We can compare that if there is any obstruction of the nose. Then next is the sense of smell. A simple test is to ask the patient to identify the smell of a solution or substance held before the nostril while keeping the eyes closed. Each nostril is tested separately. Common substances used are the clove oil, peppermint, coffee, and essence of rose. Ammonia stimulates the fibers of cranial nerve 5 and is not used to test the sense of smell. So this was the last point for the examination of nose. So we can examination the nose by the examination of the external nose, examination of vestibule, anterior rhinoscopy, posterior rhinoscopy, and last one is the functional examination of nose. So this session is powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve it soon. Thank you so much.